Welcome back to the channel. This is Roberto with Full Curl Precision, spending a beautiful morning here over at a fishing access. Dropped off the wife early, so I have a little bit of time before I go into my day job. So had a chance to kind of sit down and think, let's cover over some topics. There's been some things that's kind of come up lately. So one lady that I happen to work with, her grandson is 14 or something like that. And he's wanting to learn, so he's kind of inherited a few things, and so it's kind of showing him some basics to kind of get started. And then I have some friends that are going to be learning how to get into hunting, and they didn't grow up hunting, even though they're grown men. The thing is, not everybody has the circumstances to have been taught, whether they grew up in a city and they want to learn, or they just, even if they grew up out in the country, some people just have an aversion to it. But not everybody wants to stick with those aversions. Some people want to learn beyond that. So it kind of got me thinking. Part of this is I've been contemplating the idea of doing a basic hunting type course where not so much it wouldn't be like an official course of, where you get your hunter certification or anything like that. But it would be like, hey, let's teach you how to do some basics as far as shooting, your breathing exercises, trigger control, proper handling of a firearm, things like that. And I'm mostly talking about the hunting application. So still contemplating that, but, while I don't in any way, shape, or form claim to be any sort of an expert, I've been doing it long enough to where I feel comfortable that I can teach what I've learned and how to get somebody out to 300 yards successfully. I've killed numerous game out to even 400 yards. And the thing is, not everyone's going to start at that range. So, there's ample time and opportunity to learn how to get out to 400 yards. But those long range courses, that's the kind of the biggest thing that you see right now is we're going to teach you how to be long range accurate. Okay, cool. That's great. But long range hunting and shooting is an advanced course. If you don't know how to do the basics of being successful out to, let's say, even 150 to 200 yards, you're not going to be very successful at 300, 400, and 500, because the mistakes you make at 100, 200, and 300 are going to be amplified at 400 and 500. So get your basics down first. And one of the best ways is to get something like a 22. It's cheap. You can find a basic 22 for still you can find a good 22 for a couple $100. Ammo is cheap and easy to find. You can just get a lot of trigger time in and, learn your mechanics. That's it. It's learning your personal mechanics as a shooter. And that's actually where a lot of the success comes in. It's less about the rifle than it is about the person behind it doing the same thing every single time. Repeatability. And so you need to learn your own muscle memories, your own abilities to squeeze that trigger successfully. And, I think people get a little too caught up in, the trigger has to be exactly this pressure, has to be exactly this, exactly that, all that other stuff. And it's like, no, if you suck at a shooter and you can't handle most of your average firearms, regardless of what the rifle is doing, unless it is extremely terrible, which is always possible. There are some rifles and just firearms in general that just you get these dud guns that just are no good. But that's typically far and few between. It's more often than not the nut behind the trigger. So yeah, I'm just thinking about trying to do that where I can teach people to come out, we'll get you started off at shooting prone. We're going to get you shooting consistent. And just kind of even helping with some basic setups, like, what kind of optics and, the type of rifle, picking a cartridge to match your hunting style. Are you going to spend more time in thickets than you are anything else? Okay. Here's a range of cartridges that would work well in that. What's your, are you hunting a bit of both? What's your combination? Are you hunting more open terrain where, debris or brush is not really a factor? Okay. So you need to actually analyze what your hunting style is, what you intend to do. That will determine a lot about how successful you will be in the field. And so the honesty about it and being realistic. Here's the thing though, and I'm being serious. Your average elk is actually killed at 150 yards. Your average deer is killed about 200 yards. And that I'm talking about western states. Now, if you factor in eastern states, that's a lot closer. So if you can get pretty good at hitting even something like, a pie plate, so like something like a dinner plate at 300 yards, if you can do that, even if you're not some 1 MOA shooter, if you can hit 300 yards, there's not much that you can't get. But you're going to have to get, fairly proficient with what you have. And also just being realistic of what kind of recoil you expect to have. For instance, on Sunday, this past weekend, went out with a friend of mine, a couple friends of mine actually, and it's his first time shooting. He picked up a Tikka T3X in 30-06, and so we were trying to get him on paper, get him to get some trigger time in there, and he was doing okay. And you can see, I'll have to, once we're gonna be going shooting again, I'll get some video this time of the muzzle flip on that rifle. It is not a fun rifle to shoot, in my opinion. And then I let him try mine, which is a Bergara. Now, yes, my rifle is considerably heavier. I have a muzzle brake, but it's a 270, so it's not like the recoils are that much different, especially when I'm using heavy for caliber and I'm loading it hot. And we'll do a side-by-side comparison of why I like the Bergara over the Tikka. I'll also do a why I like the 270 over the 30-06. But also just explain why I refuse to hunt without a muzzle device. And so by that, I mean whether you choose to have a brake or choose to have a suppressor. Why I personally choose to hunt with a brake. Now, I'll go into that real quick. I like the idea of almost no muzzle flip. I also like the idea of minimal recoil. It makes follow-up shots so much easier. And if you need to make a follow-up shot, every second counts, especially if you lose where you're aiming. I have found that I can shoot out to 350, 400 yards, and for the most part, I'm staying on target. It's still inside my scope. So that's really the whole point, is be able to stay on target. And I also don't like shooting without it, because I feel like when you have an ultralight rifle in something of the 06 class, it is a good way to develop shooter flinch. When you get into 06 classes and higher in a really lightweight rifle, the recoil honestly is not that much fun. And I know that some people are going to make fun of you. Oh, you're just a pansy. Deal with it. You know what? Whatever. I don't care. I'm not here to impress you. You don't matter to me. I'm here for myself. And so if I can teach what I've learned over the years, then I'm going to pass that down. And so oftentimes that is going to be, maybe it is best to not hunt with a rifle that is too light, where it becomes uncomfortable. I got the chance to shoot my friend's 257 Roberts, and so far it's liking those 100 grain ballistic tips. I haven't shot too much, just 5 shots to get it on paper because I reset a scope on it. So just get it there. And so I'm looking forward to do some more testing with that. And yeah, there will be some video on that. I was just trying it initially to make sure my loads were cooperating. You know, when you're dealing with multiple people, it's not always the easiest to get good video. So all that will be happening in the future. And the plan is to, if I get these courses up and going, create an event where we do it, let's say even like something simple as, let's say, once a month, where we go to some public land, set up some targets at distance. We always clean up after ourselves and just be able to do, here's this. Let's get you trained on this. Do trigger control. This is just for practical hunting. It's not going to be, you know, we're not going to do every single firearm available. But what we're going to do is do some basics. And that's kind of the key. So have a right, you know, whether you choose to have a more modern cartridge or old classic, try to cater to teaching you how to use what you have. And if you haven't picked anything up, I have no problem with someone shooting mine because I know it's safe. And then letting them kind of make a decision on their own. So that's my video for today. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again.